Hello and welcome to CALcast, the Citizens Advice Liverpool podcast. Citizens Advice Liverpool is one of the largest advice-giving charities in Liverpool. We see nearly 30,000 clients a year, and we couldn't do that without our dedicated team of volunteers. And today I'm delighted to have two of our volunteers with us, Sean Kelly and Ronah Nakato. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
So can I ask, what brought you to volunteer with Citizens Advice?
I'm a university student. I studied law at the University of Liverpool. I'm going into my final year. I got to know about Citizens Advice. It was during a session we had in our orientation week. That was in my year one. So there was a student who was then volunteering with Citizens Advice. She was giving her experience and she was talking about all the advantages of a law student volunteering Citizens Advice. So I said, why not? I like to see such opportunities, to be honest. So they posted a link in the chat and they called upon volunteers. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get in at that time because at that time the roles were closed. But I registered an expression of interest. I got contacted a year later, unbelievable, isn't it? So Jimmy contacted me a year later asking me if I'm still interested. I'm like, yeah, of course. So yeah, that's how I
Excellent. Thank you. And Sean, what brought you to Citizens Advice?
Before starting at Citizens Advice, I'd been a stay-at-home dad for about 8 years. And after my kids went to secondary school, I found myself sort of without any kind of real sense of purpose. So I started applying for jobs and I was getting feedback saying I didn't have enough experience in the role. And so a friend of mine said, you should try volunteering, it will really boost your CV. And the first place I looked was Citizens Advice because I knew about the organisation and I knew what they did. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so I applied online, heard back, I think it was within a week. And before long, I was having my interview and getting started with it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. And can you share some insights into the type of work that you're doing as part of your volunteering activities?
So I'm a telephone advisor. I answer calls and respond to people's queries via telephone. I personally offer quite a number of advice through the various fields. That's benefits, tax credit, employment, being my favorite. Employment, immigration.
Because you were saying that as part of your law degree, you're quite interested in exploring employment law.
Yes, absolutely.
So this helps you with that?
Yeah, it does because I get to navigate around the websites. I actually need to know more about employment law, and then it also helps me to have real life experiences and real life challenges for my client, for future clients. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. And Sean?
When I was a volunteer, I was telephone general advice as well. So day-to-day it was receiving calls from clients, trying to come up with the best income. But I've recently been taken on as a full-time employer by Citizens Advice.
Excellent.
And my job title is now emergency provision. So I deal with fuel bank vouchers and food bank vouchers. So when clients call up in need of some extra help, not only do I issue them with the vouchers, but I also try and find out why they need the vouchers. So it's not just a sticking plaster for them. It is also finding out if we can do other things to help them, or we can guide them in certain ways to organisations that might be able to help them with other things as well. So it's trying to just make sure that they've got options at the end of the phone call, and it's not just, here you go, here's a voucher, you're on your way sort of thing. It's a whole process.
Yeah, because there's quite a complicated process that sits behind that. It's not just one thing that tends to bring people to the service.
And what it is as well is we get a lot of people coming into our drop-in centres, and they will be seen by the advisor there, and they will deal with the issues so why they need the energy voucher or why they need the food voucher, and then it gets passed on to me, and I'll go through a few other options with the clients as well. So it's not just about me being on the phone with them, it's also face-to-face appointments as well. So it's not just one person dealing with it. We try to deal with it as a company, as an
organisation. So you're dealing with the whole whole issue, and there's other people who come in to provide that holistic advice. Because there's a lot of preventative work to prevent people having to come back for further fuel or food vouchers.
There is, yeah. There's we work with the Trussell Trust on the Help Through Hardship scheme, which is a fantastic scheme. I'm lucky enough to work alongside some people with that. Some of my colleagues do that, and I see on a daily basis just how much they give to the clients, how much they try. So they'll do their best to make sure that the client isn't left stranded by themselves. They'll make them realise that they're not alone, that they're being listened to, and that they're doing their best to come up with the best outcome.
Thank you for that. So what are some of the most rewarding aspects of the role?
So I didn't really get into it to sort of like be thanked by the clients, but every thank you that you get from a client is a boost for the next call that you get. And so it's that feeling when you hang up the phone and you realise that you've actually made a difference for somebody. To me, that is the most rewarding aspect of it. And then I also do a lot of training with the new volunteers. So they sit with me on calls, they listen to me, or they take their first calls with me. And just seeing them being thanked as well is equally as rewarding for me, because sometimes you remember the calls that didn't go as well as you wanted them to, and you didn't get the outcome that you wanted to, but you did everything you could for the client. And then they play in your mind, oh, what more could I have done? And you find it, and you do more research when you're not on the phone with the client, and maybe you're lucky enough to get back in touch with them. But it's the ones that say thank you at the end. They're the ones that really sort of move you on to the next call and make it possible to do the next call.
That's great. And so your role has kind of flipped, really, in that you're now, with your paid role, you're now supporting people as people supported you. Yeah,
because I sort of know how it feels, that first phone call, the nerves beforehand, worrying that you're going to mess up the call, worrying that you've got this person on the end of the phone who needs your help, and what if you're not able to help them? So I know that the fright of, oh no, calm. I know all that, so I can go through the new trainees, the new volunteers. I can go through that with them and say to them, just take a breath. I'm sitting with you. We can always press hold. Explain to the client that we can put them on hold and we can take a breath and we can take it a step at a time. Because I've been through that, and I was lucky enough to be trained by some fantastic supervisors who were able to give me some advice that I can now pass on to others as well.
Excellent. And that's the other thing. How's the support been as a volunteer? How have you found coming into the service?
So for me, first of all, for me, it's the fulfillment that comes from within when it comes to solving problems. So every time I solve someone's problem, I feel like, now that's a good job for me. So I've really enjoyed this job role. Someone coming up to you with a problem, and then you offer a solution or you offer advice, and then they are grateful at the end. So for me, it internally, I'm like it's self-satisfying, I should say. And then like my colleague has said, the supervisors are amazing. Kay, Jimmy, and Craig, they're absolutely amazing. They're always hands-on. They make you feel it's not, no man is an island, You can always encounter them. And if that information is too much, they're always be like, no, don't worry, you can always, I can always pick up the call for you. So it's absolutely amazing. It's an amazing working environment. Everyone is willing to help.
Yeah. Excellent. And the training, how have you found the training? Because there is quite a bit of training to go through as a volunteer.
So for me, individually, I found the training a bit intense.
Even though you're doing a law degree.
Yeah, even if I'm doing a law degree. Because when I said, volunteering, I said, because initially I had actually applied for a form filling role.
Right. Okay.
But then when Jimmy contacted me a year later, I said, Ronah, we have a better role available if you're interested. I said, okay, fine. Either I'm taking a year off, so I can always go in for a bigger role. And so when I came in, And I saw the notes I had to read, and I said, "What?" But it gets better. The reading is really extensive. Sometimes it really does get overwhelming, and the most amazing part of it is sometimes you could be bored, and then you see Pat coming saying, "Ronah, do you need a cup of coffee?" So to me, that was absolutely nice. It showed me that there is support. So the training can be extensive, but as you go on and then you try to, you start picking up calls, you start getting the one-to-one shadowing. It gets more interesting then.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good. What about you? How's the...
Again, when you first walk through the door and you see how much information is on the screen, you sort of become a bit overwhelmed by it, because it's not just about speaking to the client. It's also, you need a bit of a base to talk to them with. So whether it's on benefits, housing, family, legal, you need to have a little bit of knowledge before you can pick up the phone to them. And so you look at it and you think, I'm never going to get through all this. And but you do, you slowly get through it. And it's not just about, as you say, it's not just about the reading. You get to do the phone calls at the same time. So you get to do the practical side as well as the theory as well. So it makes more sense. And I keep saying to new starters, I know this seems like there's a lot there, but once you start getting on the phone, it will all make more sense, and it will all start to stick a bit more with you. Because when you're moving from learning about benefits, then you've got to learn about immigration. You think, this is never going to stick in my head. This is never going to, I'm not going to remember all this. But the more phone calls you take, the more it does stick in your head, and the more actually, I remember that from my training.
And there's quite a lot of resources available with the information system and things that you can refer to and your colleagues. So it sounds like there's a lot of development that goes on through the training and the support. What skills do you feel like you've particularly picked up as part of this?
Definitely how to speak on a phone. I'd never done call work before this, and so that was my biggest fear. And so there's the confidence to actually pick up the phone every single time. I've also learnt more about sort of what people are going through on a daily basis and what issues they have on a daily basis as well. I know a little bit more about the benefits system, but I don't think you can never really get to know the benefits system, because I think it's always changing. And working alongside people who are so knowledgeable about stuff as well is really helpful. So I never feel like I'm going to let a client down, because I know that I can always turn around, there's somebody there to help. And so I know that I've learned that being part of a team is sort of more important than just trying to sort the problem out myself. So I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned.
Thank you.
For me, it's research. I've really learned how to navigate around the internet for some credible sources of information. It's really something you study about, but then when you actually get to do it and you know which website to go to for what kind of issue, it makes it a bit more practical than when you're just studying about it. And then also multitasking.
You certainly have to multitask.
It's been it sometimes gets overwhelming. You have to listen, note, and then after that you have to come up with the whole, with a solution. So to me, honestly, this is a brand new adventure for me. So because I'd never had an experience working, let me say, in an office kind of environment. Right. So to me, it has really helped me with multitasking. I'm like, oh my, sometimes I get overwhelmed on phone. I remember there was a time I was on a phone call and then this lady calls up and she was a bit overwhelmed herself and she was just crying. But I didn't know what to do. So I spoke to Craig. I was like, she's crying. Then he's like, no, calm down, just let her know that you're here to listen. So honestly it's all that, having to actually understand that you have to understand someone's emotions on the other side of the phone call while actually trying to figure out what kind of advice they need. So, and then also paying attention to detail. yeah, it's been something I've had to learn, because someone comes and tells you a lot of casework, but then you have to know what is important, what is not important. To me, that's a skill I'm actually developing, and it's going to be really very useful for my career, being a law student.
Because that's the other thing, you're developing that real life experience in those interviewing skills and those personal skills that you can transfer into future roles.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, when it comes to skills, I'm actually this is a lifetime opportunity to be honest. If I'm to be honest, it's a life opportunity for me. It has been an eye opener. It has actually made me realize that these are the cases you're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day as a lawyer. So for me to have this first-class information, I'm like, yes, to me it's a blessing.
Excellent, thank you. And well done on getting a role within Citizens Advice Liverpool.
Oh, thank you very much. It's got a lot to do with the people I work with as well, because they just fill you with confidence and they support you every step. So I've never really worked in a workplace like it before, because I worked as a waiter, and so everybody was sort of looking out for themselves. But working for Citizens Advice, everybody just works together, and it's hard to explain just how positive the feeling is, especially. We're inundated with calls. It's as soon as you click available on the phone lines, you get a call straight away, and we do our best to answer as many calls as possible. But I don't think there's ever going to be enough workers to answer every call for people's issues, and so just to feel like you're making a difference to somebody, and just to feel like you're part of a team making a difference to somebody as well is quite important for me as well.
Because that is something that we're struggling with at the moment. The demand has gone through the roof because of the cost of living crisis, and the issues that you're dealing with are quite complex over the phone. So looking forward, what advice would you give to people considering volunteering with Citizens Advice Liverpool?
To me personally, I would encourage all students, especially law students, if they see an opportunity with Citizens Advice, let them just grab it, because it's an eye-opener. It's an opportunity that you get as a student that doesn't come quite often. And so because of the skills I've gained so far, I can actually say, now I'm ready to take up a training contract, because before I actually joined Citizens Advice, I didn't even know what kind of law I wanted to venture in. I was a lost puppy. But now I can confidently say I want employment law, because it's very relatable, it's wide, and I like challenging work. So looking at employment law, I'm like, this is where I want to go. But before coming to Citizens Advice, I had no idea, I had no idea what I wanted to be. So for students, I feel like it's a very eye-opening experience, and also giving back to community, offering service, It's like I said earlier, it's internally, it's self-satisfying to know that you're making someone smile at the end of the day, to know that someone actually calls you and they expect you to help them. You help them, and at the end of the day, you're just happy to offer a service, because I feel like this country needs more volunteers, in whatever field. But as Citizens Advice, we really need more volunteers. Yeah.
Thank you. And you're within Citizens Advice, you're able to get some experience of employment law.
Oh, yes.
Excellent. Thank you. And Sean, what would you say to prospective volunteers?
Well, if you're thinking about volunteering, do it, because I'd say it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, because I'd say I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd got to a point in my life where I didn't want to go back to waiting on. That was the only skills I had, and I needed to find something. So I did the volunteering with Citizens Advice, and it's scary. It's one of the scariest things I've ever done, but definitely one of the best things I've ever done. Just being around the people I work with, just as you say, helping the clients, just that sense that they know that somebody's listening to them is quite important to me. And it is scary, it's overwhelming. You can be nervous, but there's people there who will help you every step of the way. And that's why I say do it.
And you said there that you thought that the only skills you had was waiting on, but now through joining the service and the training and support, you've been able to develop those other skills for the role that's led you to get a full-time job.
Yeah, so things like active listening, so just listening, for the setting cues and what people are telling me, so I can get the best advice and outcome for them. Obviously, call handling, dealing with teamwork, dealing with people in a crisis as well. And I've learned all that just from, I think I've been here about 10 months now. And in that short time, I've learned, so I think I've really developed as a person, as well as my career has developed. I've developed as well.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your experiences, and thank you very much for your time as volunteering for the service. Yeah. We can't thank our volunteers enough. They are the backbone of our service. We absolutely couldn't run our service without you. So thanks so much, Sean, Ronah. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you.